Hi, this is Chris Allison, and this is the Genesis Ag Podcast. I'm here today with Phillip and Josh Davis. Phillip is the company founder and president, and Josh serves as vice president of Genesis Ag. During today's session, Phillip and Josh will discuss the Genesis Ag biological program and why improving soil biology can be critical for the sustainability of any farm.
Josh, in the biological world, we know that I'm going to say energy, I'm going to say food source for the biology is critical. And a lot of times we're relying on the crop residue to be a food source for the biology, root exudates, etc. And a lot of times those aren't really readily available. So what do you feel like is key in our program to supplying an energy source for the biology that we're supplying and that we're trying to get to be viable?
That's a really common question that I get asked as well. I know you do too, and a lot of our guys in the field get asked that, is how can I feed what I'm doing? And everybody has the conception that sugar is soil energy, or like a molasses extract or a sugar beet extract, whatever it may be, possibly a table sugar. And sure, all of those can provide energy, but they're only specific to certain areas of biology or certain groups or even possibly certain soil types. So looking at something like what we have as diverse as Carbos, yes, we've got 4 main sugar groups that are targeting specific biology, and just like some of our actual biological products, it's specifically engineered to feed that. But even Carbos as a standalone is a great food source because we've got biology in that. It's just not a raw energy source. Much like comparing the efficiency of a gasoline-powered car to a high-end car, I see a bunch of guys dumping in sprayers and planters and everything saying, well, I'm putting sugar out there, but they don't realize how inefficient that is because it's not specifically geared towards something. And also, you're looking at, similar to having a full tank of gas with a dextrose, once you get to E, you're out. With the ability of what Carbos has, it will continually generate sugar, not to the point of application, but it's not going to really run out. We're going to keep a trickle effect going till the next timing of application. So looking at a couple different facets of just an energy source there, people really need to try to become conscious about what they're applying, just not have that feel good about it. Say, why am I applying this? And say, all right, I know why I'm applying this now with something like Carbos to say, okay, I'm steering my biology in the right direction. I'm feeding it how I need to. That would be the way I would look at a lot of that.
It's much like giving a multivitamin versus like one particular vitamin like vitamin C.
Sure.
It's kind of the same thing that we do as human beings.
Sure. And then rolling that over into what are we actually feeding, if you're looking at products maybe like Revita N and Morphos, similar to, we've talked about nitrogen and phosphorus here today, if we're looking at how to fix those with biology, Carbos is specifically engineered to feed those 2 products as well. So really getting them vamped up and going. And a lot of my guys that have been on Carbos for several years, it's just a simple 4 to 6 ounces in the tank every time they go across to keep it stimulated. You get that initial colonization and you just keep it going throughout the season, maybe going across the field 3 to 5, sometimes 6 times if we get an airplane to go across a corn crop. You've got a lot of opportunity for energy, stimulating soil activity, and so on.
So what I'm hearing from you is, even though this energy source Carbos, we would think about it being soil applied, we are having a tremendous success about getting it onto the plant, because I think what it does, even in a plant, we talked about it outrunning its capacity or soil's capacity to release nutrients, and you foliar feed that energy, it kicks those root exudates back and you get a higher activity. So that's what I really like about it, is it's multiple use. You can use it time after time to keep that energy cycle flowing.
Right, and that's one of the easiest things to get in the door. It's a low use rate, it's very cost effective, and it can be integrated into everything. We've not ran into any compatibility issues with this product, so guys that have just integrated this into their system say, I'm seeing a difference with the same foliar I've always done. I just added your product into it. Let's say foliar feeding soybeans at an early stage. Okay, let's say it's with a chemistry pass. Some of our burn has gone away. Or if it's with a micronutrient application, the crop really greened up today or the next day after I applied it, where it's never really done that before. I applied these nutrients as a feel-good, but I never saw anything. Now I see something just by integrating this. So there are a lot of things to look for within using a product like Carbos.
And I know there's a lot of people out there that have experimented with biological products and soil amendments and those things with limited success. And I went to guys before and they said, well, I'm just going to work with my native biology. I'm going to work with what's here. Well, Carbos is excellent for that.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it's going to help build the numbers of what a producer has there native that is currently. It's going to help build it where it's going to be a complex build because you're going to build multiple species where you're using a dextrose, like you said, it could just build one certain group of bacteria or fungi.
And I've seen a lot of data that's been published based on sugar. A lot of that's been done through dextrose. And yeah, it's not a bad vegetative sugar, but all it's really going to do is stimulate vegetative growth within a plant because that's the biology that it's targeting at that point. It's not really looking at multiple complex way of changing soil biology and updating plant physiology as it grows and making it really push out its potential.
Josh, you and I both have been on farms and we took our biology there in the beginning when we thought it was bulletproof, so to speak. And so we took our biology there and we threw it in the tank or they sprayed it out or the planter or however they used it. And then we went back when we found limited results. It didn't mean that it didn't work, but in other words, they might have broke even or sometimes they might not have broke even on the product or their yield or return on investment might have been minimal. And so there was a question there. And so a guy said, well, if I can't make money or if I just break even, I don't see the point in it. But what we found over the period of working with this is we got where we are today over how many years of producing and how many years of farming. As I said in some of my talks before, the last 50 years I've been a demise to agriculture because of my thinking and some of the ways that we farmed. And so I've been part of that. I've been part of the kill era that we wanted to kill everything, whether it be a weed or whether it be a pest or a bug or whatever it may be. It was always put this on and you'll kill it. That was the phrase that we used. And so now that we're more conscious here, human beings on this earth, we're more conscious about, okay, this is what's happening now, and which I believe agriculture is the best Green Deal that they are because we can sequester more carbon than any other program that's been put out there. But getting back to my point about, okay, did it work? Did it not work? But you and I have learned through all this period of time that there's an approach to this. There's an approach to when I say that we can be more fail-proof, that we can have a higher success going into a first-time producer and saying, okay, if you follow our guidelines, you can be very successful in reducing nitrogen inputs, phosphorus inputs, even getting more potassium into the plant. So give me your take on maybe in the beginning, we weren't really strict about our guidelines. So tell me your feeling about where you're having your highest success rates. What are your guys doing?
I think you got to look at it several different ways. There's different practices everywhere, so each farm has its own specific checklist that they have to go out and they say, okay, what do I feel like my limitations are on my own farm? Some of those that you and I have been out on particular farms, and I think this is a challenge. Just throughout the Midwest, I went through an area about 3 years ago that this was post-harvest, and the water was not infiltrating the soil. All of their snow that had melted or rainfall was sitting on top of the soil. It would not infiltrate through and get off the ground. So seeing limitations like that are certain things that I think each farmer needs to look at, not necessarily saying that's a broad spectrum thing, but each farmer needs to identify his own soil limitations. It's just like I work in an area in the eastern Midwest that everybody feels like they have to till their soil because it gets so hard over winter. All the colloids just really compact and restrict, and there's no oxygen in the soil. So in the fall, if it's dry enough, or in the spring, they go out and they tear their soil up for a theoretical seed bed, not understanding why they were in that situation. So I don't want to just point out specific things that could limit biology, because there are so many different things that each farmer would need to go through, per se, a checklist to see, okay, what do I need to make biology flourish? You know, if they have to go out and they have to till to get a seed bed, okay, how can I integrate biology into that before that collapse happens again in their soil and it essentially seals off, which could restrict their root penetration, water infiltration, and really cap their yield potential unless they have a truly favorable season, and identify these things and say, okay, how can I change that? You know, you could take something as in the deep south where they grow in sand and feel like they have to strip till because they've got a hard pan 8 to 18 inches deep under their sand. Do they really have to strip till, or can they use the roots that they had in the previous crop to get something else penetrating through that layer? Working with several guys that they've always strip tilled just because it's always what they've done, and are attempting to make that conversion to where they're essentially no-till farming on sand to get past that, because it takes a lot of fuel to pull those shanks through the field. It takes a lot of additional fuel to purchase another tractor and a field cultivator and something to finish the ground. So there's a lot of additional expense that something like a 2 to 3, maybe 4-year program on biology, the guy could be ahead by year 4 financially if he looked at, okay, what are my limitations on producing biology and maximizing the effectiveness and getting a ball rolling in a direction. But like you said before, and I've said before, it's a fear of loss for a lot of people. They think because they don't do what they've always done that they're going to do less. It's just like the theoretical input on nitrogen being 1 pound applied creates 1 bushel of corn. We're not arguing that. It's just how are you going to get that?
You used the word change in your conversation with me there. And really, when I say change how you grow, we have to find those people that really are looking for that change. We've been part of some major yields, but I don't think we're going into a time that that's going to be the focus of high yield. I think sustainability and profitability for 2022 is going to be the key. So we may have to change our mindset. Okay, yeah, I can afford contract corn for $5 for 2022. I don't know. I don't know what that price is. Or I could afford contract beans for 12. So if I do that, how can I be profitable with higher prices for inputs? And so we look at that. So when I say change, you went through a lot of that in your conversation, that the guy's going to have to get out and realize more. This is how my soil is functioning. And it's all about functionality. Is how is this farm functioning? How's the biological sequence functioning here on this farm? I will say this, again, it may be where you go to college, you get an education on your own farm about what's happening, And this change that we're talking about, they may have to, instead of, I just put out 200 units of N and I plant my corn and I'm done. And I come out and I get my herbicide application on at certain stage and I'm finished. And I know a guy that may be farming several acres on his own, and he may say, I don't have time to go back inside. But instead of that one shot program, he may make more money by farming less acres and be more efficient. And I know no one wants to give up acres, but he may be more efficient by toning back. Let's focus. Let's get this right, because everyone's wanting to talk about sustainability, but sustainability comes by making enough profit.
You bring up something that I put together last year. I called it a nitrogen efficiency calculator, but it was the guy saying this is what my abilities are to get across my crop, whether it be pre-plant, at planting, and post-plant, and how many times post-plant can you manage, and getting that strung out and gauging biology on their farm. You could take 10% efficiency, 25% efficiency, or so on, and it actually calculate your application amounts and timings for you to put something out. It's just like a prime example, and I pulled it up the other day, still had the last calculation that I'd personally done. It had 225 was their average yield goal that they had on their farm, their average yields over a 3 or 5 year span. They wanted to cut back 25% efficiency to see what that would do. And then they also wanted to integrate a nitrogen fixing bacteria that we offer into that. So it cut them back to applying 170 pounds of nitrogen throughout the season over that span. Whenever their goal was 225, that was their calculated number, and they hit all those timings and were surpassing the 225 that had been their average over the 3 to 5 year span. They were actually surpassing that on that lower level of nitrogen.
You have producers that this program is working for, and I know we have a lot of testimonials of guys that are saying, hey, this program's really working for us. We've had a lot of call-ins so far this year, and guys saying this is going to be the best crop I've ever produced. We're in really good shape, etc. So what you're telling me, if they follow this program, that it has a pretty good chance of working for them.
Right. If they follow certain guidelines that we have, much like I mentioned the checklist earlier, if they identify and understand what they've got going out there on their own farm, listen to how we can help them make our products work better on their farm, then yes, it's definitely a good thing. And I remember the first time that I was exposed to this, maybe 10 years ago, you had taken me to a farm that had a center pivot on it, and they had cleared off some trees around the edge to make a square field. And it was, in history, a really varying field. And when this product got introduced to it, I remember riding in the combine, and it was going mid to upper 200s all the way across the field. And the producer constantly said, this field's never this consistent. I'll hit really good spots and then hit really bad spots. But since they'd gotten on this program, how consistent the field was. And if we pay attention to little things like that, that can get the ball rolling so much faster for a lot of people. But it's a conscious effort by us from the Genesis Ag team, along with the producer working with us, because we always hear the term silver bullet. There's not a silver bullet in agriculture. $5,000 spending for consulting, you may learn something, but what did it actually take to your farm? So looking at, okay, how can I go out and learn the best on my farm? How can the Genesis Ag team help me the best that they can? And how can we work together to say, okay, our input costs are going to be up 100%. How can I maintain profitability? Or I've got kids and I've got grandkids in the operation. How can I ensure that they're still going to be on the farm 10, 20, 30, 50 years from now? Looking at a whole approach to it rather than looking at just 2021, what am I going to do? or following into 2022, what am I going to do?
Well, that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank Josh and Phillip for being with us and providing some great information on the new Premium Member Program. If you'd like more information on this or any other Genesis Ag product or program, please drop us an email at info@genesis.ag. Thank you for joining us and hope you can be with us very soon for the next edition of the Genesis Ag Podcast.